You know what's fascinating? The thing you think will push him away is actually the one thing that makes an avoidant man finally let his guard down. And I'm about to show you exactly what that is. Most women spend months trying to decode why he pulls back. You're doing all the right things, being patient, giving space, not being needy, and yet he's still keeping you at arm's length. But what if I told you there's one simple shift that changes everything? Here's the truth. Avoidant men don't need more space. They need something else entirely. And once you understand this, you'll never look at his distance the same way again. All right, before we go further, I need you to do something for me. Type the word ready in the comments right now if you're serious about understanding this. And hit that subscribe button because we're on a mission to reach 2,000 subscribers. And honestly, we're not even close yet. Your support actually matters here. Now let's get into this. So let's talk about what actually happens in the mind of an avoidant man. He's not avoiding you because he doesn't care. That's the first thing you need to get. His avoidance isn't about you. It's about him. It's about a lifetime of protecting himself from feeling too much, from needing someone too much, from being vulnerable. When he was younger, needing someone might have felt unsafe, maybe emotionally, maybe physically. His nervous system learned that closeness equals danger. So he adapted. He built walls. And those walls have kept him safe for years. Now you come along. You're wonderful. You're loving. You're everything he thought he wanted. And that terrifies him. Because now there's something to lose. Now there's someone who could hurt him. His instinct is to pull back before it gets too real. Before he needs you too much. Before you have the power to hurt him. Most women respond to this in one of two ways. Either they chase harder, trying to prove their love and commitment, or they give him so much space that they practically disappear. Both of these approaches seem logical. But here's the problem. When you chase, you confirm his fear that closeness means being consumed. That if he lets you in, he'll lose himself. And when you disappear completely, you actually trigger his abandonment wound. The very thing he's been running from his whole life. You become the person who left, just like he always feared. So what's the answer? What's the one thing that actually works? It's this. You stay, but you stay full. You don't chase him, but you don't abandon yourself either. You remain present without making him your entire world. You show up consistently without demanding he do the same. You're warm without being desperate. You're available without being at his beck and call. Let me explain what this looks like in practice. When he pulls back, you don't panic. You don't send long texts asking what's wrong. You don't create drama to get his attention, but you also don't play games. You don't ice him out to teach him a lesson. You don't pretend you don't care. Instead, you simply continue living your life. You go to dinner with friends. You work on your projects. You enjoy your hobbies. You stay in your own fullness. And when he reaches out, you're warm. You're glad to hear from him. But you're not falling over yourself with relief. This does something profound to an avoidant man. It shows him that closeness doesn't mean losing himself, that he can have space and still have you, that you're not going to crumble if he needs a moment to breathe. And more importantly, it shows him what a healthy relationship actually looks like. Because most avoidant men have never seen it modeled. They grew up in homes where love was conditional, where affection came with strings, where closeness meant control. So when you show up differently, when you offer connection without control, it rewrites his understanding of what's possible. But here's the key. You can't fake this. You can't pretend to be fine while you're secretly falling apart. You can't act unbothered while checking your phone every 30 seconds. He'll sense it. Avoidant men are incredibly attuned to inauthenticity. They can smell neediness a mile away because they've spent their whole lives avoiding it. So this isn't a strategy. It's not a tactic. It's a genuine shift in how you show up. It's about actually building a life that fulfills you, not waiting for him to complete you. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds like I'm telling you to just accept breadcrumbs, to settle for less than you deserve. But that's not what I'm saying at all. In fact, it's the opposite. When you stay full, you naturally stop tolerating bad behavior because you're not desperate for his attention. You're not willing to accept whatever scraps he offers. You have standards, you have boundaries, and you're willing to walk away if those aren't met. But you're doing it from a place of wholeness, not from a place of trying to manipulate him into changing. Here's what happens when you do this. First, he notices. He notices that you're not chasing anymore, that you're not anxious, that you seem genuinely okay whether he's around or not. And this confuses him, because in his experience, when he pulls back, people either chase or leave. But you're doing neither. You're just being. And that's intriguing. It makes him curious. It makes him wonder what you're up to, who you're with, why you seem so content. Second, he starts to feel safe. This is the big one. For the first time, he experiences that he can have his space without losing you, that he can be himself without being punished, that his need for autonomy doesn't make you fall apart. And safety is what an avoidant man needs more than anything. Not pressure, not intensity, not grand declarations of love, just simple, consistent safety. Third, he starts to lean in. Slowly. Don't expect fireworks. Don't expect him to suddenly become the most emotionally available man on the planet. But you'll notice small shifts. He texts a little more often. He makes plans a little further in advance. He shares a bit more of himself. He lets you in incrementally. And this is actually a good thing, because sustainable change happens slowly. If he flips overnight, it's probably not real. It's probably just a reaction to fear of losing you. But when the shift is gradual, it's genuine. It's him actually rewiring his attachment patterns. But let me be really clear about something. This approach works, but it doesn't work on every man. And it doesn't mean you should wait around forever. Some men are so deeply avoidant that they're not capable of a real relationship right now. Maybe ever. And you need to be honest with yourself about whether you're dealing with a man who's just cautious or a man who's completely emotionally unavailable. There's a difference. A cautious man will show you over time that he's trying, that he's moving toward you, even if it's slow. An emotionally unavailable man will keep you in the same place indefinitely. He'll give you just enough to keep you around, but never enough to actually build something real. So how do you know which one you're dealing with? You watch his actions over time. Not over a week, not over a month, over several months. Is there progress? Even small progress counts. Is he more open now than he was 6 months ago? Is he making more effort? Is he showing up more consistently? If the answer is yes, you're dealing with someone who's capable of growth. If the answer is no, if you're in the exact same place you were a year ago, you need to ask yourself why you're still there. And this is where your own attachment style comes in. Because often, anxious women are attracted to avoidant men. It's like a magnet. Your anxiety triggers his avoidance. His avoidance triggers your anxiety. And you both end up stuck in this dance where neither of you feels safe. So part of staying full isn't just about dealing with his avoidance. It's about healing your own anxiety. It's about figuring out why you're drawn to men who are emotionally unavailable, why you're willing to work so hard for so little. What wound in you is trying to be healed through this relationship? Because here's the thing, when you're truly healed, when you're truly full, you're not attracted to avoidant men anymore. Or if you are, you're not willing to tolerate their avoidance. You see it clearly. You have compassion for it. But you don't make it your problem to fix. You don't stay in relationships that don't meet your needs. You don't convince yourself that if you just love him enough, he'll change. You know your worth, and you choose accordingly. So let's talk about what staying full actually requires. First, it requires you to have a life outside of him. Real hobbies, real friendships, real goals. Not things you do to fill time until he texts. Not things you drop the second he becomes available, but genuine interests that light you up, that make you feel alive, that remind you who you are outside of any relationship. Second, it requires you to stop making him the source of your happiness. This is huge. When you're anxious, you tend to outsource your emotional well-being to other people. You feel good when he's attentive. You feel terrible when he's distant. Your mood is entirely dependent on his behavior, and that's exhausting for both of you. Instead, you need to cultivate your own inner stability. You need to be able to regulate your own emotions, to soothe yourself when you're anxious, to create your own joy. Third, it requires you to get comfortable with uncertainty. Anxious people hate uncertainty. You want to know where you stand, where this is going, what he's feeling. And that's understandable. But relationships, especially in the early stages, are inherently uncertain. And if you can't tolerate that uncertainty without spiraling, you'll push him away. Or you'll lose yourself trying to control the outcome. So part of staying full is learning to be okay with not knowing. To trust that things will unfold as they're meant to believe that if it's right, it will work out. And if it's not, something better is waiting. Now let's talk about communication. Because staying full doesn't mean you never express your needs. It doesn't mean you become some cool girl who never asks for anything. That's just another form of abandoning yourself. Healthy relationships require communication. But there's a way to communicate that invites connection and a way that triggers avoidance. When you come from anxiety, your communication tends to be demanding, critical, blaming. You might say things like, "Why don't you ever text me back?" Or, "You always pull away when things get good." Or, "I need to know where this is going right now." All of these statements, even though they're expressing real needs, they come across as attacks. And when an avoidant man feels attacked, he shuts down, he withdraws, he proves your worst fear right. Instead, try communicating from a grounded place. You might say, "I've noticed we haven't connected as much this week. I miss you. Is everything okay?" Or, "I'm someone who needs consistent communication to feel secure. Is that something you're able to offer?" Or, "I'm enjoying getting to know you and I'm interested in building something real. Do you feel the same way?" Notice the difference. You're still expressing your needs. You're still being honest, but you're doing it in a way that's calm, that's not accusatory, that gives him room to respond rather than forcing him into a corner. And here's the thing. If you express your needs clearly and kindly, and he still can't meet them, that tells you everything you need to know. It's not that you weren't patient enough. It's not that you didn't do it right. It's that he's not capable of giving you what you need. And that's valuable information. Let me share something with you. The right relationship shouldn't be this hard. Yes, all relationships take work. Yes, you need to understand each other's attachment styles and communicate effectively, but you shouldn't feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, like one wrong move will send him running, like you have to be perfect to earn his love. If that's how you feel, you're not in a relationship. You're in an anxiety spiral, and you deserve better. An avoidant man who's ready for a relationship will do his own work. He'll recognize his patterns. He'll push through his discomfort. He'll choose connection even when it's scary. You can't do that work for him. You can't love him into healing. You can't be so perfect that he finally feels safe. His healing is his responsibility. Your job is to show up as your healthiest self, to be clear about what you need, and to walk away if those needs aren't met. So what does it look like when this actually works? When you stay full and he starts to melt. It looks like slow, steady progress. It looks like him initiating more, opening up more, making plans more, introducing you to his life more. It looks like him saying things like, "I know I'm not always great at this, but I'm trying." Or, "Thank you for being patient with me." Or, "I've never felt this safe with someone before." It looks like him actively working on himself, maybe going to therapy, maybe reading books on attachment, maybe having honest conversations about his fears. And it looks like you feeling more secure, not because he's suddenly perfect, but because you see real effort, real change, real movement toward you. You feel less anxious because his actions match his words, because he's consistent, because he shows up. Not perfectly, but genuinely. And that's what you've been looking for all along. Not perfection, just genuine effort. Just someone who's willing to meet you halfway. But remember, this only works if you're actually full. If you're genuinely living your life. If you've stopped making him your everything. Because the moment you slip back into anxiety, the moment you start chasing again, you reset the whole process. He feels the pressure, he pulls back, you feel abandoned, you chase harder, and you're right back where you started. So your commitment isn't to him, it's to yourself. It's to staying in your fullness no matter what he does. That's the only way this works. And if it doesn't work, if you stay full and he still doesn't step up, then you know with certainty that he's not your person. That it's not about you doing something wrong. It's just that he's not ready, or he's not capable, or you're simply not compatible. And that clarity, as painful as it might be, is a gift because it allows you to stop waiting, stop hoping, stop investing in someone who can't invest back. It frees you to find someone who can actually meet you where you are. Let me leave you with this. You are not too much. Your desire for connection is not a flaw. Your need for consistency is not unreasonable. You don't need to shrink yourself to be lovable. You don't need to play games to be desired. You just need to find someone who's ready for what you're offering. Someone who sees your warmth as a gift, not a threat. Someone who moves toward you, not away. And in the meantime, the best thing you can do is stay full. Build a life you love. Become the kind of person you'd want to be with. And trust that the right person will recognize your worth without you having to convince them.